Hey, Kurt.
Oh, hello. I thought we were muted.
Whoops.
Whoops.
That's better.
How's your day going?
It's going all right.
That's good.
How's yours going?
That's all right. It's a rainy day out
Is it?
today. Yeah.
It's snowing
Hello,
here.
Takeshi.
Oh, really?
Hello, nice to see you again.
Nice to see
Well,
you
it's not
too.
snowing right now. Actually, the snow is mostly melted.
Hello,
but it snowed
Jaden.
good.
Jaden.
Oh,
Oh, just a second. I need to re-enter.
Hmm.
Hi, Dargan.
Hey, hello. How you doing, Karen?
Oh, we can't wait to hear about your trip later.
All right, all right.
Oh, hey,
I've
you're
got
back.
pictures of waterfalls if anybody's interested. I'm going to see if I can.
Oh, awesome. I'd love to see them.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I'm going to work on mapping them to like a cylinder or something because some of them are panoramas. So I figured that'd be kind of cool to do in Altspace. So.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I'll
That
bet
would
your
be
brain was
awesome.
working the whole time you were gone.
It was going.
Hey, Dargon.
Hey, how are you, Kurt?
Well, it's good to have you back, Dargan. Please welcome everybody, Merlin, the magician, and our professor for today.
Hello, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm going to get on with this presentation for today. We're going to start today. Yeah. Okay, so today we're on unit 1.6 of the series of units. So I hope you're well and safe. Today we're going to learn about system security and network policies. I'd like to welcome back all of those who attended last week's event, and for those who are new here, hope you enjoy your time. This lesson should cover everything, but if I feel we need to go back over anything, I will. We haven't yet, so hopefully we'll just cover everything in today's hour. So first of all, we're going to go over system security. So why do we need system security? We need system and network security in order to keep our accounts, personal details, and files safe and secure. So we're going to go through, I think it's 2 or 3 slides of what vulnerabilities are there to a system. So the first thing is hacking. This is attempting to bypass the system security features to gain unauthorized access to a computer or network. Malware is malicious software downloaded onto a computer with the intention to cause damage or to steal information. Viruses are a type of malware. And we'll show you all the, there are 6 different types of malware I'm going to show you later on. So malware is the malicious software of the different types. Next we've got phishing. Phishing is a common way to steal information like password. It's where emails are sent requesting the user to log into a website. The website is fake. The user's details are logged by the hacker. So say a fake email from someone asking you to log into Facebook, you might have clicked the link, logged in, and that person who sent you the link will take your Facebook login details to potentially take your personal information. Social engineering. People are the weakest point of any system. If a hacker can convince a user to give their data, this is the easiest way into a secure system. So social engineering is where people can, I don't know, for example, call you up or even talk to you in person, convince you that they're trustworthy and that you should give them your data, which you should never do if you don't trust or know them. So here's some more vulnerabilities in the system. A brute force attack uses an algorithm to try every possible combination of characters to guess the person's password. Now, I put guess in quotations because, yes, it guesses it, but eventually, if it's able to, it will get the password right through the algorithm. So that's a brute force attack. It will just keep trying to input passwords. And that's why websites these days give you a maximum of 3 or 5 times to put a password in, then it will lock your account and send you the email to the owner's account. So the next one, data interception. This is the hack that uses packet sniffing software to look at every piece of data being transmitted in the local area to find new ones that meet the hacker's criteria. Often done by creating fake wireless networks to record users' data. So you could join a fake wireless network, and whilst transferring information, they could intercept that and steal whatever you're sending. Next up, we have SQL injection. Using SQL statements, which is the form of code, to trick a database management system into providing large amounts of data to the hacker. So it uses the injection method to retrieve data from a database without having to log in or anything like that. Or if there is a login, they could just use the brute force to try and break in. And the next one, which is quite a lot of these days, is the denial of service attack, where hackers flood a network or server with huge amounts of fake data and requests in an attempt to overload the system so that it crashes. I know a lot of video game software has a situation where people get angry or something, developers have done something, or someone's been banned, and they get what they call a botnet group together. So we'll gather loads of people's computers and just crash the servers. I mean, that can happen with anything, which is referred to by most people now as DDoS. What actions can we take to protect the system or network? So we're going to go through some protection methods to system yours or just a general network. Penetration testing. You'd employ types of hackers later to break into a system to test how good the security is. So you employ them, you try and hack it just to see how good. Any problems in the security can then be fixed before they become vulnerable to a real hacker. Another way of doing it is network forensics. Network procedures that capture, record, and analyze all network events to discover the source of the network attacks. So keep a log of everything that's happened on the network, and if it's something you know that you haven't done, or it picks up on something unusual, it'll then notify you to say that wrong. Okay, I've gone back one there. Go forward again. So anti-malware software, I'm sure you've all heard of this. Antivirus, what's the other one? McAfee or something. Norton VPN, everyone knows that one. Maybe different over in America. See, Norton is default on most computers now. AVG, etc. So anti-malware software. It's software which analyzes files, network traffic, and incoming data to look for known malware, such as viruses or worms. We'll discuss viruses and worms later on, and I'll give you a definition of what they are. An infected file is quarantined by the piece of software and either cleaned or securely deleted to prevent further infection. So if it comes through with a file that contains malware, it would quarantine it so it keeps it from you using it. It will then clean it to try and get rid of the virus or just delete it. It needs updating very regularly, though. You need to update your anti-malware software to ensure that the newest malware is being checked for. All the time, there's new malware coming out. I don't know if anyone remembers. I think it was called the what was it called? I think it was called the love letter. It was sent in an email. You had an attachment called, and it said love letter. It was like sent at Valentine's, and everyone's going to open that because they want to know who it is, who is their secret admirer. So they click the file, and it was a batch file which would download a virus to the computer, and that spread everywhere. So if anyone remembers that, that was one of the major viruses back then. I think that was around the early 2000s. The next one, firewall. Everyone has one of these default on the Windows computer. I don't know about Mac. You may have to install one. Basically, a firewall protects a system by checking all incoming and outgoing network traffic is legitimate. So making sure that everything that's going in and out of all the different ports on the network is legitimate. We have two more here. What protections can we take to protect a system or network? We have user-level access. This is limiting the access of a user by requirements to carry out the job. An admin will have more rights than a student. Say on a school network, the student just has access to their work, an app has control of their computer. You know, if they're doing something they shouldn't be doing, they can hop on, take control, deal with the situation. Often, even admins do not give themselves full rights to prevent accidents, and will instead have a super user account. There'll be a main account above the admin account that will only be used for special high-level jobs, like trying to get rid of viruses. Encryption is another method, encoding all data with a secure, private, asymmetric key system, so that if data is stolen, it cannot be read or used. Asymmetric, meaning that it's failed to correspond with each part and it lacks symmetry, which in the speaking of encryption means that everything is all jumbled up and doesn't make sense. Nothing's matched up. So here we have the types of malware. So we'll go through them one by one. So a virus is a program designed to infect a computer and copy itself. But when it copies itself, it requires human help to spread, usually through infected software being installed or spread through unsecure removable media such as USB drives. So the virus could copy itself, put itself on a USB drive that you just unplugged. You pass it on to a friend. They've got the virus. They've gone and got their own USB now. They spread that data and it's carried on. It keeps spreading. A worm, which is worse than a virus, is a self-replicating program which can run itself, allowing it to spread very quickly. It can spread across systems and networks. So with a worm, it starts running by itself. You won't notice it's running. Although it may take up RAM, you may notice your computer slowing down, which is normally when you notice you have malware. So always be on top of your anti-malware software, double checking and doing scans every now and then. So basically, that just replicates itself by running, and it can spread through emails, files, pretty much anything. Now the next one, we've got a Trojan horse here. It's like the Greeks. The Greeks, if you know about the Greek war, they used a Trojan horse. They all hid in there. They sent it as a gift to the people who they're fighting. I can't remember who they were against in the war. They sent basically a massive Trojan horse as a gift to the Greek. And the Greeks went to sleep at night, and they all come out the back of this massive horse. It was the whole Greek army in there, and they all invaded wherever. This is the same concept as that. It's a program which disguises itself as a legitimate software. So you could be downloading Word from Microsoft, but it's not actually from Microsoft. And it appears to perform one task, but it's actually performing another whilst you're doing that. So I know you could install a pirated game, which I don't recommend you do, because one, you shouldn't be doing it because it's illegal, but two, it could contain malware. Basically, you could be running your game. I don't know, you've downloaded Monopoly, for example, on the computer. You're now running that program, but whilst it's running, you've got another program running in the background, which is the Trojan horse, which is infecting your computer. Next one is ransomware. Ransom is in the name. So ransomware secretly encodes a user's data and files, then offers to unencode the files if a large amount of money is paid to the hacker, like a ransom for a person, except it's for your data. So I know a long time ago, the NHS, they had crappy servers here in the UK. They were still on Windows 7 or something like that, or even Windows XP at that time. And they were hacked. They basically secured all the data and encoded it all. And they said, right, we want a load of money. You can have all the citizens' data back. And obviously, they got the data back from a backup, but it didn't back up their systems very well. But eventually, they got all the data back. So thankfully, all the patients' records were safe. And finally, final example is a rootkit. A rootkit allows a hacker to gain full and often repeated control of the computer, including the operating system, which helps the hacker avoid detection. So basically, it's same as remote access, except the hacker has installed a piece of software where he can gain access to your computer when he wants to. When your computer's on, he can use it, and you most of the time you won't even know they're using it, because they'll try and do it whilst you're away and the computer's on. Hence, I always recommend using Windows Lock or just locking your computer. That's the best way to go. And signing out of your account, make sure. Just a reminder, malware is malicious software loaded onto a computer with the intention to cause damage or steal information. Viruses is a type of malware. So each of these I've shown you and explained to you now is a type of malware. Malware is not a virus itself. Malware is the category for all these different things, and there are more than just that. So here, this is just, you might not be able to read it actually because the photo file isn't very good. It's just a quick description of the different types of hackers. So the white hat hacker from earlier, which you'd employ, is an ethical hacker. So he's paid to test stuff. You know, he's not there to maliciously hack or take data. He's employed to do that to make sure that each server is secure, that he's employed to check. A grey hat hacker is not malicious, but it's not always ethical. They try and hack things for fun. So it could be a mate that's hacked your computer and put USML or something as a folder in your computer. You know, they haven't done no harm, but they've hacked it, which is illegal because they haven't been paid or given permission to do it. It's unauthorized access. Whereas a black hat hacker hacks places like, I don't know, a bank or something, or a web server. That's quite important. And they're doing it to get data. So black hat hackers would do it maliciously for data, information, anything they want, they'll try and get. And doing that, they're also breaking the rule of having unauthorized access. The only reason white hat hacker is ethical and legal is because they've had authorization and permission to do that. So I believe next we've got a question session, if I'm right. So yep, I'm going to open up the host panel here. So if anyone has questions they can ask, I'll just switch that on now. I'd also like to welcome anyone who's come partway through, and I hope you're all doing well. And if there's no questions within the next minute, we'll wait till 11:23 my time, whenever it is your time, 23 on the end of the clock. When we reach there, if we have no hand raises, we'll move on to the next part. Just remember, you're learning a lot of information in a time where I've learned this over, well, years really, but obviously not just this over a year, 2 years. But this is a 2-year course I'm running here from the UK. So basically, you're learning a lot of information within an hour. I mean, and most people take it in quite well and remember quite a bit. We've got a bit at the end I'm going to test at the end. I'll give you a bit of information about that whilst we're waiting. Basically, I've put together a quiz at the end. It's like a multiple choice quiz, and it has the emojis next to the answer. So you can use the emojis in the thing here, like clapping and smiley face. I put them next to an answer so you can use them for a quiz later on. So hopefully that works well, and I want to take some feedback on that later on as well. So I'm going to close the participation now and close the host panel. And we'll move on to the next part now, which I believe is network policies. Nope, I've gone backwards. Excuse that. Okay, network policies. Common areas of network policies. So this is just covering common things you'd find on a network, policies of a network. So first of all, it's acceptable use. It governs the general use of the computer system and equipment by employees. So this is more about workplaces and networks within schools, workplaces, and things like that. So multiple people on the network. Usually limited to that which is required to carry out only the tasks that a user is employed to undertake. So each user will only be able to access and their own areas. And the acceptable use is the fact that they've got to follow the rules as stated, and that's the acceptable use of the computer they've been given and the equipment they've been given to use by the employer. The next one is passwords. This is a biggie. This is one I'm going to show you about passwords later on. And passwords, rules to ensure that passwords are strong enough to prevent guessing or brute force attack, offering and requiring the use of upper and lower cases, numbers, and special characters. Also, usually a minimum length is required. So you can normally use between 8 and 16, or you can have above that amount of characters in your password. And passwords usually must be changed on a regular basis. So normally on a network, on my school network, they get us to change it every 3 months. You can have it shorter or longer time than that. You can set that on your network. Microsoft these days, if you've got a Microsoft account linked to your Windows computer, you can actually set it to remind you to change your password every so often, and get you to change it. I used to do that, and it's a pain in the ass because I didn't realize I set it at such a short time. Anyway, we'll move on to the next slide now. Common areas of network policies again. So, email. It governs what may and may not be sent by email. So, certain networks will be monitored. They monitor the emails, like, for example, Microsoft, if they add employees, the employee's name will probably be on the first bit at Microsoft.com, something like that. And that at Microsoft Business, it would govern what would be sent by the email. So any staff they have, they monitor them to make sure they're not sending anything dodgy at work, making sure they're using their work email for what it should be used for. This could be using anything, parents could moderate kids' emails, stuff like that. That's email work policies. So next one is web access. It's configuration of web browsers that may limit the types and categories of websites that can be accessed. So at work, again, you want to limit what people can be looking at. You don't want people looking at anything dodgy at work. Mobile use. What devices are and are not allowed to be used on a network? I know some places don't like using your phones at work. They get you to turn them off or keep them in your pocket. Schools, some places allow phones, some places don't. I know a lot of places in the UK are very judgy about that because they think it distracts people, especially, you can use it during break time in some places, but even during break times, just keep the mind focused on school instead of anything else they're seeing on the mobile. Remote access is also to do with privacy as well, not taking pictures of people, stuff like that. Remote access, govern what can be accessed from outside the network system and what can only be accessed on site. So someone could use remote access, they're at home, they're ill, so they're logged in, they can access their work. They might not be able to access, say, the central server that contains all the data, just in case someone hacks that remote access, and then the company loses data. Another common area of network policies, wireless. They govern how wireless access points are secured and who has access under what circumstance. So when you're wirelessly connected to a network, they can control the amount of time you spend on it. I know for a fact with here in the UK, we have network providers. You can go on there, you can look for an IP address of a certain device. Say you could look at my phone, you can restrict how much time people have on certain apps, or you can block a certain age restriction or block certain websites. So for example, I could say, I don't know, say I don't want to use Instagram for more than an hour, say if someone's got an addiction maybe, or even in the workplace, you don't want anyone on their phone on social media. So you go on there, you go Instagram restricted to, so you can do that. So I think we've got one more slide of common areas of network policies. Yeah, we do. Okay, so we've got software. It governs who can install software and which users are able to use that software. So say, I don't know, I downloaded a management software that manages tasks employees have to do. Certain people can access it, some people can't. But within that application, they have different levels of access within the software, which means, for example, one person could edit the timetable, whereas one person could just look at the timetable. So different moderation levels, a bit like Discord, actually, where you've got moderators and admins in Discord. They have varying different levels in the servers. So that's a common one amongst most people in here, especially if you're on the AltspaceVR Discord. Another one is server. Rules about what services are provided by institution and who may access data stored centrally, and for what specific purposes for access. So it basically governs and controls what's provided by the company to each device. Backups. I got another slide for this on which I'm going to explain a bit more about different types of backups. But you normally have a backup policy at work or any workplace, which determines how frequently backups are undertaken and what type of backup, full, incremental, or differential backup, which I'll explain the difference between those later on, should take place. It will also state where the backup media must be stored and for how long. Often, a full weekly backup is required to be stored on a fireproof box in an off-site location. So say if your data company works with a lot of data, some places will put copies and backups in fireproof boxes in a location that isn't on site in case, I don't know, the place sets on fire, you lose all the data due to natural causes. You then don't lose all your data because you've got backups on another site. And another one there is incident response plan. It's the details of what to do if something goes wrong or if an attack is discovered. So say something sets on fire in the office and you've lost the data, you'd have a response plan to what you do to that. So for example, you say, right, we need to retrieve all the backups from an off-site location, get some new servers in and put that data back onto the server and make sure to take another backup just in case. And if you had an attack, you'd be the same situation. You'd have a procedure for what you do with an attack on a server or network. So these are the different types of backups. So first of all, you have your full backup. So your entire data set, regardless of any previous backups or circumstances, are backed up. So say you first got your computer, you've backed it up there. Now you've added more data as you go along. It continues to back it all up. So by the time you're backing that up as a full backup, that could take you a couple of days. You know, you're backing up a lot of data. The differential backups is additions and alterations since the most recent full backup. So your full backup, you've got a 3-unit backup. That's the first backup you've ever taken, a full backup. You've got everything from there. Now, you continue to do backups, but you only do backups from the last full backup. Say here, though, on this second to last one, penultimate one, you did a full backup up to this top one here, the second one up. Then you wouldn't have to back up the second one up on the next one. It would just be the top 3. That's the difference with differential backup. It only back up any additions and alterations made since the last full backup. Now, incremental is different to that. Additions and alterations since the most recent incremental backup. So every time it backs up, so you have your first 3, you did your initial full backup. Now, your first backup here, you're only backing up data that's been added. You're not backing up old data that's already been backed up. So any changes or alterations, that's the only thing you're backing up, which is a good thing. You can do that pretty much every week. It's only a small amount of data. I'm going to do a full backup every month, roughly. And differentials you can do in between. You could probably do fortnightly because it is going to end up being a big amount of data. When it ends up big data like this, I'm going to do another full backup, then go back to differentials again. So potentially monthly, maybe even every 2 months if you're doing differential backups. So we're going to move on to the next one now. I think might be a question slide. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to open up the host panel now. I'm going to stop yabbering on for a minute. So if anyone has any questions, they can raise a hand. I'd like to welcome those who have joined halfway through. And I hope the information is good for you. This is information from a course I've done previously. I've done 2 years of studying again. Some of you heard me earlier about talking about this. You are learning a fair bit of information in the space of it's been half an hour now. And a lot of people learn that over a longer amount of time. So if you don't have any questions, I will turn that off. So this is the last call now. Got about 10 seconds. I got a timer in my hand, if you're wondering why I'm looking here. Okay, it's been 10 seconds. I'm going to shut that off. And we're going to continue. I think this is the interesting part coming up now. It's a bit of a fun experiment. So how secure is my password? And some of you may have clocked what's going on already by the title. But we'll just go through this first slide first. So even the modest desktop computers can undertake billions of cycles a second these days. Therefore, without any security features, such as limited password attempts or asking for only selected characters from a password, a home PC could brute force a crack commonly. can brute force a crack commonly used passwords in very, very short periods of time. And as shown in the picture there, people are always the weakest part of a computer system. It's not the computer. It's not the computer that does that. Thank you for your information, Ronald. I'm not going to cover that here because it's just the basic information. But yeah, that's another type of backup you can do. There's many types of backups, some malware, etc. So thank you for that. I might cover that in the more advanced lessons later on if this continues. So people are always the weakest part of a computer system. So we're falling for fake websites and stuff from email. You know, you got to think about what you're doing these days. It's not the computer's fault. If you get hacked, it's the same with people who do F1, Formula racing, and stuff like that. It's not always the car. It's more in the case of the drivers and the mechanics. It's more human error than computer or building error. So this, I think, is the fun part now. Fun demonstration, I should say. So we're going to move on to the next slide here. I can find the button for it. So this is just a quick experiment, actually, just to show you some stuff. So we're going to attempt to try a website that's designed to estimate how long it will take to hack a password or brute force a password. Now, I want to show you the differences between having silly passwords, I'm going to call them silly because they are, and having more secure passwords. And I'll show you the difference. You can even use words in your passwords, which I don't recommend you do. But if you do, you can make it more secure. And I'm going to show you how now. So I'm just going to load up how secure is my password. So here's the website here. If you want to look at it, it's called How Secure Is My Password. That's literally all you got to type into the web browser. And they don't save passwords. They just calculate how long it will take. I'm not going to input any of my passwords, though, just for keepsake. So I'm going to put the most basic password people use, which is 12345. Now that password, let me just get my laser pointer, will get cracked instantly. Any person could guess that. You don't even need a computer to do that there. It's actually in the top 10 most used passwords. It's proven that most people use that password. It's very short and it's just numbers, which is why it gets hacked. And it's the top 10 most used password. Now, does that not concern you for data security if that's the most used password? So another one people do, they tend to name it after something they like. We'll go for a longer password this time. They tend to put flower. Now I'm typing this all lowercase. Now this is in the top 260 most used passwords. So it's not as bad, but it's instantly hackable. It's just an item, a household item or garden item. It's not something that it's going to be difficult to hack. You got your top most used passwords there. But I'm going to show you a different. Flower, all lowercase, was instant, right? We're going to use a capital F at the start of flower. Now look at the difference. I know it's not much, but 400 milliseconds. By using a capital letter, you're making it slightly more secure. Now we're going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the end of that. Now, obviously, again, flower is the most basic word in the world. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the most basic numbers in the world. That will take 41 years. That's almost what? Half a lifetime? That's 41 years of a password there. Now, you can get ridiculous amounts of password time. I know some of mine that I used to test on here. You could get up to 3 billion years, So let's think of another example then. Actually, I'll tell you what. I'm going to open up the panel just in case anyone wants to test the password. Not your own, though, because I don't want to reveal your password, especially if it's AltspaceVR. But if you have like 2 words and a couple of numbers, capitals, special characters, or anything you want to say, you can test it and just show the difference between the most basic password and the most complex password. So hopefully that should make a noise in my headset once I got it up, in case anyone does have anything they want to test. But we'll just go through another one now. A single one. So we will do flower again with a capital F at the start of flower. So it's actually 400 milliseconds. I think of another word. Let's do dog. Okay, dog, your most basic pet or cat or dog. But we're gonna do a capital D at the front of dog as well because it's a new word. So capital D O G for dog. Now that's 19 hours. you add that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the end. That's now 9 million years. Now, this is what I recommend to people. Always use a 2-worded password. If you're going to remember, really difficult, if it's really difficult, use really easy words, put them together, make sure the capital at the start, you get that time in. The brute force attack will not get your password. It's not always guaranteed, you know, they can get it in less than 9 million years. That's how long it will take you if it took the whole time. Now I'm going to show you what happens when you add a special character on the end. We're going to put an exclamation mark on the end of this. So 9 million years. Boom. 9 million years is turned into 15 billion years from one special character. That's why you should always use special characters in your passwords. Now, this isn't me having a rant to anyone in specific, but this is just proving a point of why you should use special characters when they tell you to use them, and stop complaining about it, because it just shows the fact that it gives you from 9 million years to 15 billion. It secures your password so much more than what it would. Now, a layout I always recommend, as I said, is the 2-word, 2 numbers, and a special character or capital letter. So we're going to go for 2 different ones this time. We're going to go for cat because of it being the opposite to the most common animal. I'm sure there's some other animals that you could use, like parrots or something like that. We're going to think of another word now as well. Say what, we'll do computers because we're using them now. So we'll do computers, the first word, because it's a longer one. So capital C for computer, which is 22 minutes. Obviously, it's going to be a common word. We're going to use capital C for cat. We're going to type that in. That's now 5 years. We're going to put 2 numbers. It could be any variant of number. So I'm going to put 72. And that's 100,000 years on its own. And now there's 2 different methods you could use. So I've done the 2 words and the 2 numbers. So at the end, the first thing you could do is say the website is, let's say Altspace. The first letter of Altspace is A. Now you could use that layout every time. You could have computer dog 72 and have a capital letter for the website, the start of the website. So it could be A, for example. Now put a capital A on the end. Straight away, 9 million years. We'll take that A off. Now, if you put an exclamation mark, which is a special character, 200 million years, which ups it again. Now, if we take away that exclamation mark and use the capital A for Altspace, which brings back to 9 million, and put an exclamation mark afterwards, you get that 15 billion years again. Now, that's a method I teach people who forget passwords a lot. Use the 2 words, 2 numbers, capital letter of the first part of the website, a special character, any special character that you think you can remember. That is the best layout you can use for a secure password. Obviously, don't use the words I've used today, like flower dog and computer cat. Use something a bit more personal to you, something that people can't guess. That's just a demonstration on how secure your password can be. So hopefully that's educated a few of you on that. I know a few people have common passwords. I mean, if you put dog, I bet that's top 10. No, it's not. 400 nanoseconds. I mean, if your account's only going to last that long, you don't want dog as your password for PayPal, put it that way. So we're going to come back to the PowerPoint now. Hopefully that was a bit of a fun experience for you guys. We'll get some feedback on that later. So after this now, I think we've got another section. I will open for final questions later as well as feedback. We're going to do an experiment now. We're going to do, oh yes, actually, I will test that for you, Ronald, if you want me to. Ronald's just sent me a message saying dog, but instead of an O, put a 0. That's another thing you do with names and stuff. Put numbers in for letters that you are going to remember. For example, computer, you could use 0s with the O's are. You could put 3s where the E's are. So we're going to test dog. So normal dog, D-O-G, is 400 nanoseconds. Now, I'm not expecting much of a difference, but it will make a significant difference when making a longer password. So actually dog, 400 nanoseconds. Now you put D0G. That's 41 microseconds. Now, in the eyes of a human, that's not a lot of difference. Oh, I've put more than just dog there, haven't I? D0G. 1 microsecond. That's still more than what it was before. In the eyes of human, 1 microsecond, you know, we've already gone past that within the last 100 words I've just explained. You know, that's going past within a finger click. So, but it's more secure, you know, if you put D0G, we'll go capital D, 0G, that's even more secure. That's times 5 more secure. Then we'll do, let's think of a word, pet, we'll just use that. So capital P, and then a 3 for the E, and a T. Already that's 1 second. Now that's 2 words, but it's a bit of a short password. And then we'll put 72 again, 1 hour, but then capital A for alt space and a exclamation mark. That's a lot shorter of a password, which is why it's only 5 years. But it just goes to show when you're using different numbers within the password, makes a difference. Well, I just saw that on my headset actually. Don't know how that happened, but don't worry about that. I think I was dragging S, so don't worry about that. I didn't know what happened there. I thought someone broke through the stage blocker for a second. I had a bit of panic. And I was saying the other week, can you do that? By walking out your own zone or whatever you got in the Guardian on your Oculus. I thought, oh, damn, we've got someone trying that here. But it's a good job it didn't work. So we're going to go over to quiz time now. We could try and go back to that password thing later if any of you want to. You can try out your own password ideas. See what differences they make. So we're going to go to quiz time. This is just an experiment to see how well my teaching works really and see if this actually works. Don't know why it's done that. Oh, we're going backwards, that's why. Right, here we go. So the first question, what is malware? So I'm not going to read ABC, I'm going to read it by the emoji. So I'm going to call that first one smiley face. So smiley face, what is malware? Bypassing a system's security features, clapping, malicious software loaded onto a computer to cause damage, tongue, convincing a user to give their data, and heart is flooding a network with fake data and requests. So just keep those emojis out just so I can get a rough estimate of what people are putting. And so yeah, the correct answer is clapping, which is malicious software loaded onto a computer to cause damage. So I've taken the answers now from the description I was using earlier for each thing. So that's just the hint for the next few questions. I think you've got 3 or 4 questions. And hopefully this emoji method works quite well. So what is a firewall we've got now? So there's a firewall, a happy face, encoding all data with a secure key system. Is it clapping, rules which govern how a network may be used? Is it smiley face, employing a white hat hacker to test a system? Or is it a heart which protects a system by checking incoming and outgoing traffic is legitimate? If you send all those reactions in now. Okay, you're all right with hearts. It protects the system by checking all incoming and outgoing traffic to make sure it is legitimate. Good job on that one, guys. So we've got Trojan horse now. The old Greeks coming in. So is it a smiley face, a program that disguises itself as legitimate software? Is it clapping, a self-replicating program which can run itself? Is it the tongue face, sticky out tongue face? I don't think I've said that one before as I've gone on, but I'll go with it. It infects a computer and can be copied with human help. Or is it the heart, secretly encodes a user's data and files and then requests a sum of money? Let's send them all in. And you are all correct. It is the smiley face, a program that disguises itself as legitimate software. So that's a good one then again, guys. As I've said, you know, we learned this over a long time. You've learned this in a short period of time and you've taken the information quite well. So what is the weakest part of a computer system? It's quite short, so we're going to have all the faces coming in and out. Yes, it is all of you, the people and the humans. You are the weakest part of a computer system. That is the right answer. I think that was the last one. So thank you for participating in that. We're going to actually open up for questions and feedback. So if anyone has any feedback for the testing password method, you know, because I will be doing these classes again, and feedback on the quiz as well. Do you want a quiz every week at the end of them? You know, so if Karen, you can go first because you're already on speaker.
Okay, Merlin, I was just going to tell people that I use a program called 1Password. It's a number 1 followed by password, all one string. It's a great program. I've used it for years. It used to be it would just be a downloadable program. Now I think it's basically a cloud, and it's well, you still download it, but you have to pay for a license. But anyway, they call it 1Password because basically all you have to remember is 1Password, and that's the password to open the program, right? And then what it does is it generates. You specify how many characters you want, so it generates that number of characters. You specify how many numbers you want, how upper, lowercase, and how many special characters you want. So it just generates this random string of numbers, letters, and symbols, upper and lower case. And then there's more to it than that. It's very easy to fill out forms on the web, but I use that. It's really secure and it's a great program.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. I've heard of software like that that's very good. I just want to remind everyone, though, if you're going to use automated password processors, be careful what you're installing, just in case, because they are storing your passwords. And if it's a company that's going to try and log into your accounts, just make sure it's legitimate software. Obviously, with the 1Password, I think you called it there, Karen, that is going to be legitimate software if you're paying for a license, especially. You know, I don't think they're going to get you to pay anything to take passwords, because once they got your password, they can have your bank details and stuff. So I'm sure they don't want to fine you for it or whatever, just to take £100 afterwards. But anyway, thank you for that, Karen. You could take yourself off air. Dragoness, I think, were you number 2? Or Spaceboy? I think Spaceboy was up, so I'm going to put Spaceboy on. If he's here, I don't know where Spaceboy is. There he is.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. The question is that as far as like a password is concerned, regardless of how long it is or how difficult it is to hack, is there a chance that not the password gets hacked, but the company that holds the password? And is most passwords encrypted these days on their servers?
Yes, so that has happened with Yahoo. That happened a while ago. Someone hacked it. They took a load of emails and passwords, and they took it off their data system. So obviously that was an issue. They had to make it a bit more secure. But they can take your email and password. Yeah, and they can log into it, do whatever they want with it. So that's a good question, actually. A password is never secure in the hands of someone else. Obviously, with companies, you have to. For example, AltspaceVR, they hold your password somewhere.
Right.
It's obviously not going to be easy to hack with Microsoft, obviously having the knowledge. But
is that also
it
one of the
can
reasons
happen.
why you? Is that also one of the reasons why you're supposed to rotate your password on a 6-month, 4-month, 3-month cycle?
Yes, they do recommend that you change your password, especially if the company's been hacked. With Yahoo, they try to get everyone to change their password. Not everyone's done it, but some people have. What they do recommend is making sure you change your password obviously on a bi-monthly basis, or you could take 6 months, a year maybe, but you want to be more secure. Decrease that time. You want to keep repeating, changing the password, repeat that process. In some companies like Microsoft, you can get them to force you to change your password. I don't think AltSpace does, but I know Microsoft, if you've got Office 365, you can go into security, and they believe you can force them when you want to log in again, they force you to change your password. So make sure you have access to backup emails in case you forget the password. But yeah, that's a very good question. I'm just going to take you off the air there. If you have anything else, you can put your hand back up. Dragoness, you're up and on.
Okay, you hear me okay?
Yep, you're a bit tunnely, but I can deal with it. I can hear you fine.
All right. I just was gonna say that I thought the quiz at the end was really nice.
Thank you very much. I'll try and include those in most presentations nowadays, just to get a bit more feedback on how well the lessons gone, and to make sure you've taken the information in well. And it's a good method of learning for when I want to teach, because that's the future for myself. I want to go into teaching in the future. So it's just learning different methods and different ways of teaching people, and to make sure people are taking information on board. So thank you again for that. So if anyone has any questions about today, or any other class actually, or any feedback, they can now. But we're going to wrap up soon. It's almost been an hour. It's actually been an hour for once. We haven't gone back over the lesson. So we've got a good schedule today. I think that password thing took up a lot of time. We did start a bit late as well. So if anyone else has any feedback or questions, you can raise your hand now. If not, we're going to try and wrap it up shortly so that you can all stay and have a chat with each other or myself. Excuse me, looking down here, I got a watch thing on here. It's one of the SDKs. It's quite cool. So if you're hosting an event, it gives you a lot of information on your wrist, and moderators might have it. I think Dragoness would have access to it, and Karen might have access to it on your wrist. It is quite good. I think it's quite useful. So just watching the time here. So I'm going to close the allow hand raisers now. Oh, we're having a bit of a glitch here. So I'm going to move on. I don't think I've got anything else to tell you, but I'll go to my final slides. So next week, always like to let people know what's going on next week. We'll be looking at operating systems and system software. I hope you enjoyed your time here, and you come back next week's presentation on computer science. I've put a picture up on the back wall just above the Merlin's Class of Magic YouTube link, and it does show that if you go to my channel, there is a button in the bottom left that says Join Discord. If you want announcements, updates, or just a general conversation about computer science or different things you can do in Altspace, go ahead and join that Discord through the channel thing on the Altspace website. That's the way to access that. It's also on the promotions section. I think it's called the Discord servers through the Altspace Discord. That should be on the list there. So if you do want to have a chat with us on Discord, be sure to join. So just going over the last two slides now. Again, I'd like to give a special thanks each week to those, who have helped me behind the scenes or helped me whilst on air in the event. Last week, I should have thanked Theo, my friend, actually. He helped me write up the presentation last week. He wanted to get involved. Unfortunately, he couldn't present because it's quite late here in the UK, but hopefully soon he'll be able to do that. It's a good revision resource for us because we've got the next 6 weeks of doing exams in the UK to get our GCSE. But I'd like to thank Karen over here, Dragoness over in the corner over there, for moderating, helping out on air tonight. I'd also like to thank everyone who come here tonight and any newcomers that have arrived today. And I hope you come back to learn more about computer science again soon. It means a lot to me that everyone's attended tonight. So we're going to move on to the goodbye slide now. Oh, it's backwards. Excuse that. Basically, it just says if you have any questions, you can come to me. Have a conversation with everyone in the room. If you want to stay for a while, you're welcome to stay. I'll stay for a while. I might put some background music on. I'm not sure yet. Just some instrumental maybe. But if you're not able to stay, I hope you enjoyed your time here, and I'll see you again soon, hopefully. And don't forget, you can click "You Are Here," click my name, and you can always go to the next events that are coming up. I have put the next 2 weeks up. Thank you again, all. I'll unmute you all now. There we go.
Nice job, Merlin.
Thank you, Karen.
She managed to jump to the front accidentally.